Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for joining us today. And welcome to this discussion on significance of women in STEM. I'd like to also send a special thanks to our experts in IU team for inviting me here. And as Lena said, I'm Janki Dodiya. I am a professor in Augmented and Virtual Reality and Human-Computer Interaction at IU. Now, without further ado, let's move on to our discussion. So you all are here because you probably have come across this talk or this issue about women's underrepresentation and there's a lot of campaigning going on out there, even in media, about it. Now, despite the progress in gender equity and the growing interest in STEM, both from men and women remain underrepresented in STEM fields. This is both in education as well as in workforce, and that is private sector, public sector, and even research domain. So I have some figures here. Globally, 35% of graduates pursue STEM-related fields, and it's even fewer for the majors like math and engineering. And this trend also exists in Germany, especially in the field of information and communication technology, as well as engineering. In STEM workforce, women have very small presence overall. And when you look into smaller innovative fields like artificial intelligence, it's even lesser. It's around 18%. And when you look into the research domain, globally, we have around 33% of researchers which are female. And these researchers, female researchers, are usually paid less and they publish very less as well. So for instance, in the field of AI, women published, so the 18% of publications are basically from female. And this also basically can be seen within academia. So in Germany, I know that there are 27% professors which are female. And I was doing this experiment as well for myself yesterday when I was looking at these figures that let me see, because I always come across I have only come across mostly men in my field, in the field that I'm working in at least. And I thought, okay, let me see if there are women in Germany who are professors in this field. And obviously I could not search too many places, but I tried LinkedIn, and there's another professional social network called Zing in Germany, and I tried it, and I found around 2 or 3, including me. So that's my experience of disparity. But the numbers speak for themselves. And there are numerous studies out there by many organizations which highlight this disparity. However, the real question is, why do these numbers matter? Or why is this underrepresentation of women of any concern? And there are twofold aspects to this, basically. The first is its impact on an individual and their needs. And the second is its impact on the society as a whole. Let me share a personal experience with you. My late grandmother, a 94-year-old woman, an Indian storyteller, I would tell her, often reminisced about her experiences, life experiences, with great pride and reputation. The reputation usually happened because she used to forget that she's already told us this story multiple times. And in one of the stories, she recounted that she wore her brother's trousers and his shirt and his boots, and she rode. They used to have a horse carriage apparently, and she rode the horse carriage alone to the market. And she said this with such great pride. She also talked often about how her mother pursued education till class 5, and she said it with she was very proud about that fact. And she would always add to that, many a time she would add to that the fact that even though she was not educated, she was able to write her name, and she used to write her name in all the legal documents, and she did not use a thumbprint, which usually when you're not educated, that's what is used for identification. And there was another story that she shared with me, which was about my grandfather. My grandfather had joined this freedom movement when Mahatma Gandhi was there, the non-violent freedom movement against British, and he was quite involved in that. And my grandmother once visited her in a jail, which happened a lot to freedom fighters during that time. And as soon as my grandfather saw her, he completely broke down and cried. And he said he basically expressed that he's worried that he's not able to provide the family because he's so involved in this fight. And my grandmother told me that, oh, I told your grandfather that either you worry about the country's welfare or you worry about your family. And which was a very empowering response. And she reassured him that she will take care of the family, and she did. Along with her children, they managed to run the household. She did some odd jobs like sewing, and she told me many of these stories. There are a lot of these stories, and what amazed me about these stories was how a 94-year-old woman with deteriorating memory was choosing to remember these significant experiences. And when you look into it, these experiences demonstrate the importance of personal agency, individual needs, and impact of social barriers on an individual's life. Now, we all have individual needs. There's a concept in psychology provided by Abraham Maslow, which is called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You probably might have heard it. And for the ones who haven't, it suggests that the human needs can be arranged in a hierarchy. And at the lowest hierarchy, the lowest part of the hierarchy comes the survival needs, which is first the physiological needs, then comes the safety need, and after that comes the love and belonging, and then comes the esteem, and at the topmost is the need for self-actualization. So the topmost needs are basically intellectually oriented needs. And these needs basically mean, the topmost one mean that an individual strives to fulfill their potential, pursue personal growth, and achieve their aspirations. And if you think about it, education and career, they are interconnected with these various levels of needs. But the most important part here is the fact that these needs are not just for men. These needs are also of women. These needs are human needs. And that's why it's very important that an individual should not face any obstacles or unjust obstacles or barriers due to discriminatory factors such as gender, in order to access the education and the career they wish for instance, STEM. The second aspect is this goes beyond the individual needs. So STEM disciplines are an integral aspect of every human being's life, especially in the world today, where we face so many global challenges which are threatening our very existence. And United Nations has devised a global framework in form of what they call Sustainable Development Goals to tackle these pressing issues. And there are about 17 goals in this, which include things like climate change, responsible consumption, water, and poverty, and health, and sustainable development, and many more. And the deadline, the target year to achieve these goals has been set to 2030, which is quite soon. In other words, it sets basically, this 2030 sets a deadline for countries and stakeholders to work towards the implementation of these goals and to make progress in these areas. And among these goals, there are two goals which specifically focus on education, quality education, and gender equality. Why so? Women who comprise of half of the world's population, are also affected by these global challenges. And that's why they also bring their needs in that respect. And these needs should also be a priority to be addressed. But most of all, they also bring their perspectives, experiences, knowledge, and expertise, which are essential in addressing these challenges and finding sustainable solutions. And by excluding women from the STEM fields, we are missing on we are missing out on potential contributions from them, which is basically a large untapped talent pool. And this hinders societal and economic progress. So, achieving gender equality is not just a matter of fairness, it is instrumental for the future of the science and for the future of our world for addressing these global challenges. And women's participation is important if we are to achieve a truly fair and sustainable future. Now, we talked about why this is important, right? Let's look into the aspects of, let's explore the barriers that women's representation in STEM. Let's explore these barriers, and let's also talk about the key aspects for building the inclusivity. And for this, I'd like to take inspiration from from philosophy of humanity-centered design approach, which was proposed by Don Norman, an expert in design. He's an expert in design, psychology, computing, and engineering. And the idea behind this is that we shift our focus from the traditional human-centered approach, which usually looked into impact of a solution or a product on an individual, and it usually looked into the fact that whether this product is or whether this solution, whatever it is usable for that individual. And with humanity-centered perspective, it is asking us to basically not just consider the impact on an individual, but consider the global impact. So focus on the entire ecosystem of people and the living things and the physical environment when you are designing. And that means emphasizing on the humanity-centered perspective. And the key aspects of humanity-centered design is one of the first one is to recognize that everything that we experience around us is design. Everything, our world is basically human-made. We are surrounded by everything that is artificial, and everything artificial is designed. Be it your home, be it your clothes, be it your food, or whether your books, or even the forms of government structures that we have defined, or even the hours that you have to work every day. Anything, even the plan that you would make for tomorrow is a design, or for day after tomorrow, whatever you wish to do. And the good thing about this is that when something can be designed, it can also be redesigned if it's ineffective. Another aspect to recognize here also is that the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, are intricate socio-technical problems. So that means they have an interplay between the social and the technological aspects. And these aspects are basically human-made elements. And therefore, if the design in past did not work, we can redesign them. However, we must seek out the right problems and the root causes. And to seek out the right problems and the root causes, it's important to adopt a systems thinking. So basically to understand that everything is a system, and everything within this system, whether it is people, societal issues, and other structures, They are all connected and intertwined within everything else. And it's also important to remember that many things take decades before the impact of it can be felt. Another aspect is the fact that human behavior is plays a very vital role in problem solving, even over technology. Therefore, the solutions should consider this aspect. To make a meaningful progress, it is important to understand the human behavior or how people behave, and to design solutions that work with human nature rather than against it. And at last, the last important point that I picked from this philosophy was that we must design with the community and not for them. So the solutions should be designed by the people themselves, and the designers should take the role of facilitators, mentors, and providers of the resources. Now let's apply this, or let's see how it translates to our case. Let's look into STEM education, for instance. The reasons for continued exclusion in STEM of women, whether it's education or workforce in this case, are complex and multi-layered. So within STEM education, one of the issues is that the girls drop out quite early from the schools, or they do not choose STEM as their majors. And this is despite that they have similar academic performance with the boys. And there are varied factors contributing to this. And some of them include, for instance, access to funding, access to infrastructure such as ICT, the information and communication technology, family responsibilities, or governing structures that prevent women from accessing the education, curriculum design as well, teachers' behavior, teachers' own confidence in STEM, and researchers have even gone as far as looking into genetics. But one of the most common aspects includes the community members, their beliefs, their perceptions, and their attitudes towards STEM are usually implicitly or explicitly passed on when they interact with the female students, and this shapes the female students' attitudes towards STEM. So one of the most common belief or stereotypical belief is that the STEM subjects are not meant for women, but they are meant for men, especially math. Math is always associated as a male subject. And this is then passed on to the female student implicitly or explicitly, and this shapes their attitudes towards STEM as well. And it sometimes leads to self-stereotyping, less confidence in themselves to perform well in these subjects, or demotivation, and then they end up not choosing STEM as a major. And when I say community members here, it includes everyone. It includes everyone that an individual comes in interaction with, directly or indirectly. So it includes family, it includes friends, it includes educational organization, it includes the government structures, it includes workplaces perhaps as well. And therefore it is the fact that community member has such an influence on these whole aspect also makes community members either barriers or enablers. And another thing that I remember I read in one of the research papers was that there was a study on women who had taken up math as a major, and even these belief systems, the stereotypical belief system, are so ingrained that these women, even though they chose the math as a major still had lower STEM identity and displayed lower self-efficacy, and that means that they still didn't feel like they belonged with the subject, or they had very less confidence in the fact that they would be able to perform well in this subject. Another aspect also is important, that these factors that I talked about, so many of them that researchers have looked into all over the world, they vary, their weights vary across all the countries and the regions. For instance, because they vary across the regions, universal solutions cannot be devised. So it's challenging to find universal solution to the problem of underrepresentation of women in STEM. For example, we know that in workforce, the presence of women in STEM areas is quite low, and this is basically globally. And this is also, for instance, in Germany. This is also, for instance, in India. And what we did here is that we studied one of the reasons why, for instance, in Germany, it was that there are very less STEM female who take STEM majors. So we did a study with 400 around more schoolgirls here in Germany, and we wanted to understand what influences their decisions, whether to take STEM or not to take STEM. And we found that the factors that influenced their decision were teachers' behavior, curriculum design, and a lack of female STEM role models. So 70% of these female students which were surveyed had a personal interest in STEM subjects, but 40% of them felt that it was overwhelming, these subjects, and that STEM field is too difficult. And out of these, less than 1/3 of the respondents have any friends or family who are working in STEM professions. And over 1/3 respondents did not know anyone who is involved in STEM professions. So, in contrast, India has already achieved, for instance, the STEM equity in higher education. However, this does not translate in the workforce, and that is also for many other various reasons. So, the point is that we must devise interventions which are evidence-based and initiatives that are tailored to the needs of that local region. And also, the initiative should enable the community to become positive influencer or enablers. As a designer, it is also crucial to shift your role from expert to the facilitator, because the true experts are the people experiencing the problem. The true experts here, in our case, are the women. So let women come up with the solution. Let women be the solution architects. But in order to achieve that as well, it is important that women should be involved and they participate in all levels of organization in the sectors that influence these solutions. So that was about STEM education. Now, I mentioned earlier that these issues are socio-technical in nature. So this could be technology that was from past, or this could also be understanding the impact of technology that is in present and its impact in what impact could it have in future. So emerging technologies like artificial intelligence and virtual reality play a significant role in addressing the gender issues, but they also present many challenges. So let's say, for example, AI-powered analytics can assess the salary data and link it to performance matrix. And with that, it can help companies identify whether women are being paid less than men when they are in the same role and have the same performance. Another example would be that AI analytics can assess the promotion rates and to understand any patterns that could suggest whether there is a gender discrimination or not. So AI and VR offers benefits, many benefits, such as increased access to information, personalized education tools, interactive education tools when you combine them both, and training and improved training opportunities as well, health equity. In fact, VR has a very special benefit, a unique potential of promoting empathy and understanding. And it does this by, so if you know about virtual reality, you put on the glasses, and what it does is it transports the user into a virtual world. And the users can interact with this world just like they would interact in real world with all the virtual objects as well. So the human brain processes VR experiences very similar to real experiences. I read a study in from Stanford University, and this study mentioned that they put some of the users into virtual reality, and they let them experience the losing a job and becoming homeless. And the results said that these people developed a long-lasting compassion for homeless people compared to other medias that they use to test these theories. And there are also many studies where psychologists and scientists have basically put people into so they have, when you go into virtual reality, you receive a virtual body as well. And these psychologists, what they did is they put different people from and put them into body of opposite races to understand how they feel, to put them in situation of discrimination based on race and such aspects. And they did find that virtual reality has the potential to increase people's understanding of one another and to motivate positive social behaviors. However, there are also drawbacks, such as potential of cyber harassment in virtual environments, especially in future when metaverses will become the norm, because that will be our main manner or way of communicating and doing so many activities. So I have here a figure from UNESCO, which says currently the girls aged 9 to 17 suffer disproportionately from violence online or via mobile phones. On average, 50% of the girls reported suffering from online violence compared to 48% of boys. Girls were more likely to report phone calls, 16%, so more likely to report being treated hurtful or nasty in a nasty way via social networks, 38%, text messages, 21%, mobile phone, 16%, and chat rooms, 5%. Now imagine when these communications would be performed using the Web 3.0 and combination of Web 3.0 and metaverses, the experiences of these harassments is only going to be more intense, and which can possibly have a damaging effect on an individual's or here women's mental well-being. Now within AI, there is a similar issue, which is introduction of gender biases in AI systems because of the bias in the data that comes from societal bias. So to simplify how AI works is that AI algorithms are basically, they learn from the data which are being fed to them. And they make predictions or actions based on the patterns and the rules that has been designed. And these data could also come from the public. For instance, one of the examples that we have right now is ChatGPT. This poses danger that instead of supporting the women, the AI can actually perpetuate these issues even more. And now imagine AI would be used in so many sectors, or it's unimaginable. And this could also, for instance, in one of the UNESCO reports I read, could present major challenges for working lives of the women as well. So, for instance, it could create an unequal and unconstructive model of flexible working, which reinforces the narrative that women primarily would be doing care and domestic work. To fully realize the benefits of these technologies, therefore, it is important that we address inclusivity as well as these social bias issues, addressing the bias issues. And this can be done, of course, by careful attention to data selection beforehand and pre-processing of these AI systems, and also promoting diversity in AI teams. We need more women in the field of AI.